Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse and PamelaGropey.com, and I promised to share a violet painting tutorial. I did some violets on my mossy heart wreath, and I said I'd come back and show different ways on painting violets. And here I have them drawn out for you already, kind of a pattern to follow. I've painted on the leaves. These are my simple scalloped heart-shaped leaves, and violet leaves are kind of heart-shaped. So let me get this in the camera so you can see what we're doing. And I'm going to use a number 8 flat brush. This is a plaid one-stroke Donna Dewberry flat. It comes in a package that I link to on my blog, and I'll put a link here in the description as well. And these last me a long time with proper care. And they do the job I need. They keep a chisel edge. I am going to start with 2 colors of the plaid multi-surface paint. I've got lavender and light lavender. And I'm going to start with showing you how I do a violet with a teardrop stroke. Now this is not the one that I used on my violet painting tutorial with the mossy wreath. I'm going to double load my brush, and how I do that, let me focus for you, is I dip each corner in a color and then I work it back and forth, and I get the brush nice and filled with paint of both colors, and you see how it's kind of blending together in the center. That's what you want. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to decide, do I want light on the inside or dark? And if you find it's not dark enough, you can always come back with a darker color. Here is how I do the teardrop petal. These are 2 different colors that I showed you double loading, only because the other one was out of focus and I had to come and remake it. But this is a, I guess you call it a teardrop loop petal. And I'm starting with the lighter on the inside. You could do the darker if you like, but I'm going to do just a little loop. And I try to keep the inner color, the light lavender, narrower, and I'm just making, dragging the darker around. Now this bottom petal, I'm going to go and just kind of follow the outline and bring it up. And then you have the bottom petal. And I'll show the details later on filling in. I'm going to do that one more time, this time with the dark on the inside and the light on the outside. I guess I could do this one. And here, I'm just do a little teardrop petal, a little teardrop petal. I'm doing this backwards, so I'm keeping my hand out of the camera. And it's just a little more difficult for me to do it backwards. And just a little teardrop and a little teardrop. And I'm gonna go along, whoops. And there you have the petals in the teardrop shape. Let me get that one a little bit better. And you can see how the darker is supposed to be in the middle. Look what I did. I put the lighter on the middle, and I meant for the darker to be in the center, but that's okay. You can go with it that way. And it's just a unique violet. This time I'm going to single load the brush. I'm going to do just the light lavender. Just going to fill my brush as needed. And then I'm going to come along and just stroke in. You notice I start here on the chisel edge, press, lift, and the same here, and the same here. Now reload when you need to. And if you need to stroke it over again, go right ahead. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to just go along. Well, I won't do the same. I'm changing my mind. I'm going to just do 3 strokes coming to the center like that. and that will make that bottom petal. You can also do it the way I did in the previous violet, but I was trying to do a different way for you. Now again, I'll come back and put the details in after this is dried. Now let me try another one. I'm going to do the next one with a Filbert brush. Let me see. I don't know. Yeah, this is a Royal Majestic 8 Filbert. Filbert is the rounded tip. And I am going to, you can do the same as you did here with it, or you can double load your Filbert. Now here I'm going to show you one side in the light purple, the other side in the dark purple. And then you just put your brush down, press, lift. You see the striations of color? Push your brush down, lift. Now I'm going to need to reload. Same way. Now I'm going to press my brush down, twist, between my fingers, and lift. Same here. Brush down, twist, and lift. Now the bottom one is going to be like I did this one. I'm going to do 3 strokes. 1, 2, 3, and then kind of blend it together so it looks like it's one stroke or one petal. Blend as you need, and there you have that one. Now the striations showed up the best at the first, but that's okay because there's light, shadow, and it kind of mimics that. Or if you want it to all be like one color, then you just would load your Filbert brush with the one color. Okay. Now, the violets I showed on my Mossy Heart wreath were more of the dog violet. And here is that one. We see how these are downwards rather than straight out. That is the pictures of the wild violets I saw. But many times when I paint flowers, I'm trying to get the impression of a flower, not necessarily an exact replication. So these will end up looking like violets very, very well once I'm done. Now here is a bud, a violet bud. Now I could go for a smaller Filbert, which I don't have available right now. Sorry, that's a repair truck out there making that beeping. So I can go ahead and I can use just my purple and just be very tiny with your little scallop strokes. Or I could kind of do it with the edge of my brush. Let's see if I can do it with the chisel edge. I'm grabbed a lighter color. And that works too. And I might have got it too wide now. But going over it like that will do that. Okay, now I'm going to take a liner brush. This is the liner brush that comes in the value pack or the package of Donna Dewberry brushes. And I'm loading it with some green because I'm going to make, and I just dipped it in both colors and I just kind of blended on my brush, and I'm pulling and dragging, pulling and dragging. I know it probably wasn't in focus the best, but you got the idea. Now I'm going to do the line, the stem. I go back and get more on my brush. And then I'm going to do the little stamens here on that, and I can do these too while I'm here. Now depending on the violets that you decide to paint, some have a darker center, a lighter center, etc. But I like the ones that have just a touch of yellow inside the center. And I do that with a liner brush. Now, I don't put out a whole puddle of paint when I do that. I just take the lid, I get a dot, and if I think I have too much, see, I just take the lid, dot it. If I have too much, I'll just drag it on my paint palette. But when you're going to dot it, you kind of want to glop on there. And you just put your dot in the center of your violets. The sunflower yellow, which is what I'm using with the plaid folk art, is the perfect subtle yellow in the center for these. And then I rinse out my brush. And then I'm going to do the same with the white. I don't have a whole lot of white on here, so I'm just going to take the lid, dip my brush in it. So I get paint on my brush, and then I'm going to go to my palette and I'm going to drag my brush until it gets a point. See, keep dragging. This is some blending gel, just so it flows good. I want that point because this is a detail that's got a fine edge. Just a dainty little upside down V. And that gives that, just that little hint of a violet color, of a violet flower, I mean. Can you see the detail now? So let me zoom out a little bit. So you see all the flowers in here. And I am going to put a darker purple, which I think this is called Perfect Purple, on my, or I'm just going to take it out because I don't need a lot. So I'm going to do the lid trick again. And some blending medium, or also, you can also use floating medium for this. But I'll do the blending gel. I think it's called blending gel. I should look at that. Yes, blending gel is what it's called. Okay, I'm doing the same. I'm rolling my paint and dragging my brush to create a point. So hopefully I can get a fine enough point on this because I want to make like hair thin little strokes. So very light. I'm not getting the hair-like consistency I want. So I need an even smaller liner brush. Now I've been soaking this one that I have now. This is a very tiny one. This one is a Low Cornell 10-0, and I accidentally let paint dry in it, and I've been soaking it in alcohol to get that out. And it looks like I got most of it out. So I'm going to use this, the 10-0. I'm doing the same, putting it through my paint, touch of blending gel, and making it come to a point. I'm hoping I did not totally ruin this brush. I hope I revived it. So let's see, kind of far away. See how much finer those are? Tiny brush strokes. And that gives it little whiskers, or little veining. Now ideally, I would have done this before I did the center part. And even on these, you can do the little veining. Tiny, tiny veins, or hairs, like. And it just gives it an added detail. It really shows up on the lighter. See how I'm getting less paint in my brush, so it makes them even finer, which is what I like. Very fine. And there is that detail. And you can do more little buds. You can do a single stroke as a little tiny bud. Let me show you that one. I can do that probably with a flat brush. You don't have to have several brushes. You can find ways to do it with your flat brush. Let me see. I'll do one, let's say, hanging down right here. See, I did it on the chisel edge, and I double loaded, and I just make kind of a little teardrop shape. And then I'll go back with the liner. I'm going to use the Donna Dewberry liner with some green paint on my brush, and you're going to just make your little stamen, and there you have another small bud. And there you have your violets. I guess I could do one more with the flat brush with the light purple on the outside. That way you could see me do it that way with the flat number 8 brush. Okay, double load in the 2 purples, the lighter and the darker. The 2 lavenders I have here. I have lavender and light lavender on my palette. Now that one had the dark on the outside. This one will have the light on the outside. And you can even go with a darker purple. Maybe I'll do that and then you can see. I'll do that with the Perfect Purple. You can see the dramatic contrast. I already have some of the lavender loaded in my brush. I'm just going to add the Perfect Purple where the lavender is, the dark lavender, to give it some more dramatic contrast with the light lavender. Okay, the other one was dark on the outside. This one will have a light on the inside. This is the Teardrop stroke. And remember, the last one has is point one corner, the dark corner, and then I'm just going to kind of pivot as I stroke and try to keep that dark in that spot. As you can see, it's not perfect. There's a little gap there, but that's where adding the details comes into play, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Let me refocus, and I'll show you how I add those details. Same as before, liner brush, a little dot of the yellow. You can also do green. Sometimes it's fun to do green, and I will. This time I'm going to do that citrus green, what I used on the leaves. And I'll put the little dot in there. And then I'll come back with the white, wicker white, on my liner. Pull to a chisel edge. And it's still wet, so it might drag a little in the green, but that's okay. And you see how it covers right up over that little area that was a gap. And then I go again into my Perfect Purple, which, like I said before, I should have done this before I did the details, but it's not that big of a deal. And just add that. And since the Perfect Purple was the center color, it doesn't show up a lot, but it seems to just deepen the color. If I wanted something to show up, I would go back in with an even darker purple, but this is fine. This adds just some shadowing. And there we have our bouquet of violets. Pretty simple, huh? Oh. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed learning to paint violets different ways. And if you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out my other tutorials. I'm sure you'll find some others that you'll enjoy.